All right, I finally got a new video out for you guys today, and we are gonna be making this bench. And if you haven't seen the last video of making a better leather apron, go back and watch that, it's a good one. And as always, Shaloha. Okay guys, so we've got all 4 of our legs cut out here, and just to kind of give you an idea of where we're going with this, I want to cut mortises into each of these legs in this piece here. It's actually going to go in the front here. It's going to be a 1/4 inch mortise. That's going to accept a steel tenon, a 1/4 inch piece of steel that's going to slide into there. And then that tenon is going to be welded onto a stretcher that's going to go across the bottom of the bench and connect all 4 legs. So the next step, just to give you an idea of where I'm going with this, I know we had talked about making a stretcher out of metal that goes across the bottom of the bench. So these tongues, these metal tongues that are sticking out, what I'm going to do is it's going to receive a piece of 5/8 steel and rod, and what I'm going to do is cut the rod at the top. I'm going to slot it so that it slides onto this tongue and then can be welded on, just like that. And then what that's going to do is it'll Y off each one of these just like this to a centerpiece in the middle. And I think that'll kind of give it a cool design. Okay, there's my center line piece. I'm going to lay it right on the center line. Okay, two things real quick. Before we get too far, I've decided I'm going to change the look of these legs a little bit. And my original idea for the bench was to have kind of a mid-century modern look to the leg. And so that requires kind of a thicker top and more of a taper down to the bottom of the leg. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off a little bit of this inside edge and taper it down to the base, and I think it'll give me the look I'm going for. The second thing that I forgot to do completely was when we cut the mortise, or there's a slot for the front of this piece here to accept the metal, I also wanted to cut one for the top that's going to accept a piece of metal up here that will then mount in or on to the top of the bench itself, the actual seating portion of the bench. This wouldn't be a proper Shaloha project if there wasn't a couple mistakes along the way. And I did a dumb thing the other day. Sharpening my bit's not a dumb thing, but I took the bearings off and then I sharpened the bits and I put the bearings back on, but what I didn't realize is I switched the bearings on the two different bits and they were two different sizes. So I put a too small of bearing on my roundover bit, which means it gouges into the wood a little deeper at the base than where it's supposed to cut flush. Yeah, that sucked. So it's not the end of the world. I just gotta sand more and probably grind out some of these metal pieces a little bit more now to fit where they need to be. So there's that. So my goal here is to just tack these things in place for the time being. I'm not going to weld them all the way up. I just want to get them tacked, and that way I can still kind of bend them and move them in position, and then I'll take the wood pieces off and weld them the rest of the way. All right, so now what I got to do is I'm going to flip this over and make sure that my feet sit flat on the surface of this table, and hopefully it's pretty close. And moment of truth. Not bad. Not bad. I got a little bit of twisting out on these legs that I got to do. I can see on this one I need to twist it out a little bit. Line that one up. I'll measure the distance between these and try to get everything tacked where it needs to go. And then, yeah, we'll be good. Okay, so I have decided I am going to go with a concrete top, and that's what we're doing now. I'm creating this mold, and I just need to screw these pieces together, and then we'll fill this with concrete. But before I do that, I'm actually going to lay a piece of wood at the bottom. This is a piece of walnut that's kind of spalted and got some really cool figure and stuff going on in it. And we'll lay that on the bottom, and then we'll pour the concrete over top of it. And then when we pull it out of the mold and flip it over, which that will be the top, you'll see this really pretty piece of wood inlaid in the concrete, and with the contrast between the legs and everything else, I think it'll look really sweet. So that's where we're going with this. Yeah, at least we know this glue works, huh? Okay, so basically what I've just done is just devised a way to hold these legs perfectly flush with the top of the mold. So when I go to pour the concrete, everything sits where I want it to. And so these platforms are just gonna sit across the stretcher here and just hold it in place. And hopefully nothing will move, and it should work.
All right, before I start putting this in the mold, I'm going to want to seal up the back of this, and I'm actually going to do the front of this with a varnish mixture so that it doesn't soak up too much water when I pour the concrete in it.
Okay, real quick, I've had questions in the past on what do I use for my benches or a few of the other projects that I've done, and this is the stuff right here. It's called Countertop Mix by Quikrete. It's really good stuff. It has the polymers in it, has the fiberglass in it, has a bunch of other stuff to help it flow properly, and yeah, I like it. If I'm doing a really big project, I usually mix my own just because this stuff's kind of expensive. But for this, I'm using less than a bag. And so this stuff is perfect and it's great for this kind of project. Okay, this is the big reveal. You get to see it when I see it. So here it goes. Not so bad. Nice. Okay, let's see if I can flip this towards me and then I'll peel the bottom off towards you guys so you can see what it looks like. So let's see. Oh. Ah, that was easy. Oh, look at there. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. I know it doesn't look so good right now in the video, but this is all gonna clean up real nice. This is just slurry and stuff that just kind of crept underneath the piece of wood, but it's gonna it'll clean up and sand out. So I think I'm gonna be happy with this. All right, this is the fun part. I get to use a wet polisher and also get to wear these really cool orange bib overalls. So it's a win-win. Okay. So a lot of guys only go up to about 400 grit on some of these things. I like to take it to at least 800. That's just my preference. On certain projects like this one, I like a nice smooth finish. So this is going to be the last pass on 800 grit. So now we can get a really good feel of what this is going to look like when it's finished. This is wet, the wood's wet. It's probably going to get a little bit of warping in it. It's probably going to get, it's probably going to raise a little bit. That I will come back after it's all dry, completely dry, and I'll hit it with a sander and I'll sand all the wood down and make it nice and clean and clean it up again. So I'm liking how this is coming out. I was able to fur it in really well, and it's beautiful. I think it's gonna be just nice. thing stand on its own. It's nice and light. Well, I think this thing turned out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with it. And I have some ideas for some more down the road of other ideas I can do with this kind of same idea. But this turned out just absolutely beautiful. And it's sturdy. I'm not afraid it's going to fall over. I feel like it's got enough strength to be able to sit on it and stand on it. So what more is there to say? I mean, this is pretty awesome. I'm hoping this piece actually doesn't sell because it might go in front of my bed, but we'll see. All right, well, that does it for another video. But before we go, I have to give a big shout out to my followers. Thank you so much for getting me past that 10,000 mark, and we're continuing to grow. And so thank you so much. That's a goal for me that has been surpassed, and I hope to continue to grow with you guys. So those of you who haven't subscribed and liked, and if you like what you saw here, please hit the subscribe and like buttons, and I'll be able to continue to bring out content like this. And so as always, thank you, and Shaloha.